Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive with us.
Glad to be here.
Today we're going to be tackling a really interesting topic.
Mm.
It's one that I think a lot of people have heard of, but maybe don't know the full story of.
Absolutely.
We're going to be talking about the title Khan, and we're going to be looking at some excerpts that you sent over from the Wikipedia article on this.
Right.
And just skimming it, even before we started, I was really surprised by how much there is to this.
Yeah.
It's not just some dusty old title from history.
Yeah.
It's a real journey through empires, nomadic tribes, and even modern-day surnames.
It really is fascinating how a single word can kind of connect all these different threads of history, across cultures and time periods.
Yeah, and one of the things that really struck me right off the bat is that the origin of the word Khan is actually disputed.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mystery.
It's like, we're talking about Genghis Khan, Kublai Khan, these huge figures in history.
Right.
And we don't even know for sure where their title came from.
Right. Yeah, and there are a lot of theories about it. Some suggest that it has Turkic or Paramongolic roots.
Okay.
Others point to the Ruran people as the origin and that it spread to other languages from there.
So it really seems like it emerged from this kind of mix of different cultures and languages, particularly these nomadic cultures.
Right, and it really makes you wonder, was it a title that someone just invented, or did it evolve more organically over time?
Yeah, that's a great question.
We don't have a definitive answer, but
Right.
what we do know is that one of the earliest recorded uses of Khan was by the Xianbei Confederation for their leader, and that was way back in the late 3rd century AD.
So that's like our first solid historical sighting of this title in action.
Yeah, it is. And then things get even more interesting with the Ruruns because they might have been the first to use both Khan and that even grander title, Kogan, literally meaning Khan of Khans, for their emperors.
So they were like setting a precedent that later empires would follow.
Exactly. And the Mongols are, of course, the most famous example.
Right. I mean, when you hear Khan, you almost immediately think of Genghis Khan.
Of course.
But were the Mongols the only ones using it at that point?
Not at all. In the early Mongol Empire, Khan was actually used for lots of different tribal leaders and heads of confederations, even those who weren't under Mongol control.
So it was a much more widespread title than just the ruler of the Mongol Empire.
Right. It was really a title of authority in general.
But then how did it become like the title for the supreme ruler, especially given how massive the Mongol Empire was?
Well, it's interesting because the meaning of Khan actually evolved within the Mongol Empire itself.
Okay.
Initially, it was used for leaders at different levels, but once Genghis Khan's sons inherited the title and became Khans in their own right,
Right.
Khan alone just didn't seem grand enough for the supreme ruler of such a vast empire.
Right. It's like they needed a supersized Khan to match their supersized empire.
Exactly, and that's where